This lecture video will be about analytic geometry. So, now we transition from trigonometry to one major concept in pre-calculus, which is analytic geometry. So, kung dati, we study algebra and geometry a bit separately, although minsan may mga touches ng algebra sa geometry now and then. Now, we are really going to combine these two together. Ayun. Nasaan yung algebra? Wala naman yung word na algebra dyan. The word analytic or analysis would usually refer to the algebraic computation or the algebraic processes involved in analyzing the geometric figures that we will have. So, yan yung algebra part. And the concepts that we study are about geometry. Hence, analytic geometry would be more of combining geometry and algebra together na merong mga concepts in geometry na i-represent natin through algebraic means. Now, to start combining together algebra and geometry, we have to start with this. Algebra and geometry develop slowly as distinct mathematical disciplines. Magkahiwalay. In 1637, however, René Descartes, a French mathematician and philosopher, published his La Géométrie, which introduced a device for unifying these two branches of mathematics, the use of a coordinate system. So René Descartes was able to combine algebra and geometry together because of the coordinate system. So by means of coordinate systems, algebraic methods can be applied powerfully in the study of geometry as well as accruing to algebra by graphical representations of algebraic equations. Kung maalala ninyo, nung pinag-aralan natin yung graphs ng trigonometric functions, mas obvious doon yung periodic behavior ng trigonometric functions na paulit-ulit lang pala yung itsura niya all throughout the domain. Ang ginagraph lang natin ay one period kasi yun yung umuulit-ulit and from there, nalalaman natin yung properties ng graph na will be applied in different applications. Now, how did René Descartes thought of a coordinate system? According to legend, although hindi to yung itsura niya talaga, but he noticed René Descartes was lying on his bed one night and he noticed a fly on the ceiling. And he wondered, paano kaya niya ma-describe yung exact location ng fly sa ceiling? Doon niya na naisip na ang exact location in space is a point. Pero he can't really say to the left or to the right or to the middle kasi wala naman siyang basis nun. From there on, René Descartes was able to develop the coordinate system for him to be able to algebraically describe locations. So how was he able to do it? Here, we have the coordinate system which we know. Maraming familiar na sa atin sa coordinate system. And we start with 0, 0. Diyan nag-umpisa yan, and then we would now have two number lines. One that is going horizontal, which is known as the x-axis, the horizontal number line. And we have the vertical number line, which extends going up and then going down, and that is known as the y-axis. We are also familiar with the fact that in the positive and the right side and the upper part of our coordinate axis are the placement of the positive numbers at yung pababa and left naman yung negative numbers. And 0, 0, where the two coordinate axes actually intersect is what we call the origin because it represents the number 0. Now, in geometry, we start at a point in one of the undefined terms, and the really starting element of geometry is a point. And it is described as a location in space. So, kung mag-drawing tayo ng point, for example, this point here, yan, which is, for example, yan yung fly. How will now describe the location of this point. So now, through the use of algebraic means, numbers, we are now able to describe the location of the point. Now, a point is described by an ordered pair, usually represented as xy. We know from geometry that the name of a point is usually a capital letter. So let's name this point P, which has the coordinates 1, 2. Sorry. Well, not 1, 2, but 1. It looks like 1 or 1 half. So 1, 1. Yeah. Now, ito, the number 1 in this ordered pair, remember that this is an ordered pair, so order matters. So, this one here is what we call the x-coordinate, or in the language of x-coordinate, or in the language of analytic geometry, it's known as the abscissa. And it is properly defined to be the directed distance of a point from the y-axis. Ano sir yung directed distance? We know what distance is. It is the length from one object to the other. Directed would mean whether it is positive or negative. So in this specific case, since it says it's 1, it means it's 1 unit from the y-axis. Ulitin ko yung abscissa na x-coordinate. This is the x-coordinate. Is the distance from the y-axis. Madami nagkakamali dyan. So as we can see, from the y-axis to this point, that's just 1 unit. Kaya siya, distance from the y-axis. And it's positive. Positive 1 to, so it's the positive distance from the y-axis. Yan yung x-coordinate or abscissa. This one here is what we call the y-coordinate. Y-coordinate or ordinate. Yan. The ordinate or the y-coordinate is defined to be the directed distance of a point from the x-axis. The y-coordinate is the directed distance from the x-axis. So kung mapapansin niyo from here, ito yung x-axis, no? Ito, at ito. So hindi pala dapat 1 half. It should be 3 halves. Okay, so let's correct our coordinate here. It should be 3 halves. Ayan. So, we have 3 halves distance from the x-axis to this point. Kaya the y-coordinate or the ordinate is our distance from the x-axis. So through the use of numbers, we were able to algebraically or analytically describe the location of a point. Now, apart from the abscissa and the ordinate, we also have some terms to define. That if a line segment is horizontal, if the endpoints of the segment have the same ordinate. For example, let's have point Q. Let's have it here. There you go. That's point Q with coordinates negative 2, 3 halves. So, as we can see, parehas lang naman ng ordinate si point P and si point Q. Since they have the same ordinate, by definition, these two line segments are, these 2 points are horizontal with each other. At kapag merong line segment na dumaan in between these 2 points, kagaya niyan, then we say that this line is a horizontal line. Yan. And then we also have the definition of vertical. A line segment is vertical if the endpoints of the segment have the same abscissa. So for example, I'm going to have a new point R, say here, point R, and it looks like it has the coordinates negative 2, negative 2. As you can see, parehas ng abscissa. Parehas ng abscissa si point Q and si QR. Therefore, we say that the these 2 points are vertically aligned with each other. At kapag nag-drawing tayo ng line segment, ayan, then we say that this is a vertical line or a vertical line. In this case, a vertical line segment. So now that we're familiar with basic terms, in the next video, we're going to look into 2 important concepts regarding points in the Cartesian plane, the distance and the midpoint.